Our next speaker will be Daria Mochly-Rosen, the George D. Smith Professor of Translational Medicine at Stanford School of Medicine and founder and director of Stanford University's SPARK program, which, among other things, helps academics navigate the valley of death between drug discovery and development.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the invitation, and importantly, thank you for giving me the opportunity to sit here with so many people with like mind. In other words, people who are interested in making a difference in human health. So I will tell you about a program that I've started 10 years ago. I will not tell you why a protein chemist got engaged in translational research because we don't have time for it. The mission of this program that we started 10 years ago was to take academic discoveries and make sure that they move into patients' care. And it's important to emphasize that our goal was to do that rather than think about necessarily economic impact. As long as it goes forward to patients' care, we consider it success. We rely on the fact that our academicians, both basic researchers and clinicians, are making discoveries all times, and that they together are incapable of moving those discoveries forward because we in academia are absolutely clueless on what is required, and programs like the programs that you've heard earlier can really make this education possible. But what I've recognized from my own experience is that there is a lot of know-how in the industry, and if we put those two groups of scientists together, we can create a program that can enhance the strengths of academia with the strengths of industry, and together we can do something better. So what we do, and it's important, is that the projects are stayed within Stanford, and we are now working with industry experts at the university to enhance the value of those initial inventions and translate them to products that impact patients. Our advisors, the industry people, are volunteers. They are not paid. And yet they come every Wednesday night, really impacting our ability to do that. They come even though they have to sign confidentiality agreement, and they have to relinquish their rights to the IP if they create any. In other words, it still belongs to Stanford, and I can explain why it is, and it's really just practical reason. Most importantly, they come every Wednesday night for years in and out, and they tell me that it is fun. And we can talk about why is it fun, but we've heard some of those comments also earlier. What we provide is the skills that are missing from academic work, which is, first of all, thinking about the product. Who is your patient? Who is your physician? Who is paying for it? Where you are in your research, and how you walk backward to make sure that where you are is getting you eventually to impact patient care. In other words, project management skills. Very, very foreign for academic work. We meet every week, every Wednesday night, 5:30 to 7:30. We are having formal lectures on what is required to do translational research, which include also entrepreneurship for those who are interested, but also include how to design clinical trial, what are the regulatory affair issues, how to formulate a compound, how to do a high throughput screen, and so on and so forth. We also provide introduction to experts, but also to potential VCs and so on. And we provide very little money. We provide $50,000 a year per project for 2 years. If you think that a lab is running on $500,000 to $1 million a year, that's not a lot of money. We, on purpose, do not want to incentivize people to come in for the purpose of getting just money. Yet the return on that is tremendous. So if we again count what academic and deans care about is how much money comes to the university as a result of this initial investment, what they find is that through grants and successful assurance of obtaining grants, the return on investment is about fivefold, oftentimes even greater than that. We count that rather than how many grants, how many licensing were made and how much they were paid for, because we don't have any control over that. So we just count on the things that we can control in this program. Our criteria for success are straightforward. First of all, we are caring about projects that get into clinical trial. And again, since we do not care about financial return, it could be a repurposed program. We count those that have been licensed to existing companies and those that have been licensed to new startup, and together this is our criteria for success. The success rate that I can report for the past 10 years is 60%. So Lilly did a small study in which they did similar program where they took early discoveries and moved forward to a further, let's say, phase 1 clinical trial, and they were very proud of the fact that their success rate was around 10%. Why is this so successful? It's not only because we have really good ideas in academia, but because we match these two cultures of the risk-averse culture in industry with a risk-taking culture in academia, and together there is an opportunity to do things that the industry never dares to do and academics don't know how to do. And this together creates this fantastic return. And I'm happy to see Spark Berlin having similar success. So it is not unique to scientific discoveries in a particular institution. We've so far have completed training of 73 projects over this 9 years, and 22 startups, actually probably 25 now. But the part that I'm most proud of is the 31 clinical trials. And if I have a second, I will tell you about one, licensing pharma and so on. So it works because in the room we have about 100 people, and about 30 or 40 of them are from industry, and they provide their opinions. But we don't have an opinion from a single medicinal chemist or a single clinical trialist. We have for multiple, and so the ideas are thrown back and forth and challenged, and eventually a decision is being made by the investigator. In other words, to say there isn't one single path that guaranteed your success, which unfortunately in the industry oftentimes people tend to take. There are maybe multiple paths, but it's important to hear the challenges and learn from what the industry is telling us. We're doing it on campus, so the learning stays with academia. The idea is that we have to provide education for our graduate students and postdocs that are not going to have our jobs because we don't die, we don't retire, so they are more likely to work in industry. We have to make sure that they are properly prepared for this work. We also have an opportunity to have an open exchange, not only between academia and industry, but importantly between clinician scientists and PhDs. And importantly, there, if you are a hair professor, it doesn't count more than a graduate student that's starting in the first year. Anybody can be the one who will actually provide the ideas that is critical. It is a commitment for 2 years. People have to show up every week for 2 years, and they do that. And I can tell you that in many other academic functions that I have, I never see the same faculty showing up again and again. They do that because they feel like something has happened. And importantly, we learn from the failures. So failures are the best way to learn things. And unfortunately, in industry, when you fail, your program is terminated, you might lose your job, or you might move to a new program. And the teaching of that failure is gone nowhere. In our program, we can hear about failure from industry. They do not necessarily reveal their company's secrets, but the top content is sufficiently educational and challenged by the other experts from other companies that will help guide us in doing better. So it matters. Spark matters not only because it moves more projects to the commercial hands, but because it really saves lives. So it is important to recognize that in academic life we are challenged not to think only commercially. And it is an opportunity for us to be socially responsible. We are funded by the public to do good for the public. And by repurposing and saving lives, we can really make a difference as well. So entrepreneurship is very important for some, and just doing social good is very important for others, and it's not contradictory. Spark is catching fire elsewhere. I'm so happy about Spark Berlin. It's really a fantastic program. We have programs that covers all continents, including Africa. So I guess we don't have any program in Antarctica. And the programs have different flavors because they respond to different needs and build on local strengths. So it's not a single formula, but there is something about the process that is helpful. We have now an international organization. We meet once a year, and the next one is going to be at Stanford. It's a 10th anniversary, and I would be very happy to extend an invitation to all of you. We will have a session on how to start Spark in your institution, but also importantly, how to solve problems globally. You've seen the book. Since I don't earn money from it, I never been paid for it, I don't mind promoting it. It's actually the work of love of many of our advisors, and it's sparkled with stories that I had to write because others did not volunteer them, about how unintuitive translational research is. How just being smart is insufficient to make the right decision, and how just by applying logic you actually can derail a fantastic program. So it's important for us academicians to understand that without the industry partners, and it's really individuals in industry, we can't do it right. We are both required for this process. So I really appreciate the opportunity to present to you, and if I'm allowed a minute, I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you that the discoveries are not necessarily from the bench to the bedside, but also from the bedside to the bedside. So we have a pediatric clinician, a pediatric dermatologist that was part of a team that was taking care of a girl that had lymph malformation, which for the physician among you, you know it's a very rare disease, very disfiguring, huge lymph mass, you cannot surgery remove it because it's so vascularized. But the skin was so taut that the dermatologist was brought in to take care of it. In that case, the girl had it in her chest, so she has a problem, she has high pressure on her lung, and she was given tiny amount of Viagra to alleviate that. The dermatologist kept seeing this girl, and he started to notice that this huge mass that she has in her chest was shrinking. He was really excited by this finding, but he said he's a dermatologist, he couldn't get any vascular physicians to be, cardiovascular physician to be interested in it. So he came to us, and he said, I want to determine whether small amounts of Viagra can help these kids, very rare disease, but still present everywhere, disfiguring, sometimes lethal. I want to determine whether it's going to work. And we helped him put a program around, start clinical trial. He actually got a very large grant from the FDA, did the clinical trial, wrote a paper in New England Journal of Medicine, and no money is made. But the clinical practice for this disease is now changed. And that matters, and it costs very little money and a lot of brain power and excitement to do that. So translational research is not only basic researchers like myself that try to move things forward. It can come from any angle. It can come from graduate students, and it can come from deans, any direction. But without the combining of the manpower or brain power of both basic researchers, clinicians, and industry experts, you can't move things to do right for society. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Daria. So do we have any questions? If not, I have a question for you. So Spark has been, you mentioned all different places that it's been started. What have been some of the challenges, or are there some things that people, in case anybody here wants to start one, what are some things that people have to be aware of?
Challenges are many. For example, academicians think it's not our job. We should just work on academic work and publishing. And other challenges are not having the mentors. So they say, okay, you are at Stanford Valley, Silicon Valley, you have all the experts around. I can't find my mentors. And we tell them it's very easy to find the mentors because you've been in university, you have alumni, some of them wants to retire back to where they went to school, find them. And indeed, for example, Case Western found many through this process. Challenges relate to money. Who is funding it? And what is the reward system? And what are the incentives? Challenges have to do with releasing physicians from time that they're supposed to take care of patients in the clinic. Challenges are hierarchy. So in Taiwan, for example, you have to be very careful about a student versus a professor. How you break all this. There are different accents for different places, and it's really, really important to be sensitive to what works. And so I see Spark in various countries having really different flavors and different emphasis, but I think the bottom line, it is doable, it is simple, and it's really important to dare to do it. It's really rather rewarding.
Thank you.